Hello, my name is Jasmine Grandel. I am in the SRS105 Sport Management course. This is a video explaining the types of issues that are happening within sport management at the University of Regina. The issue that I chose to speak about is the recent events of the men's and women's wrestling teams, as well as the men's volleyball team. They have all been canceled from the athletics department program completely, as in like there's no more team. The reason why I think it's an issue is the university's dean of the kinesiology and health studies faculty. He had made a statement saying that the reason why they made these cuts was because there wasn't enough funds to go around in the entire faculty. They had 16 sport teams within the athletics department. 3 of them were cut off because they said that they wanted to focus more on the elite teams, as in like the football team or the basketball teams. Those are more of a competitive and well-known sports teams from the university that participates in youth sports. The reason for that decision was a report from the athletic department. They made a report about how they just couldn't afford to fund all of the teams anymore. So they decided to take the lower end, less common, less spoken about teams, I guess, which I think is super weird considering the entire wrestling program was just canceled. The problem is, and the reason why this is a sport management issue, is one, they don't have enough funds to be focusing on all their sport teams. The governance structure is set up so that it makes it hard for him to actually do his job, considering he had to think about which teams he should get rid of, simply because there is not enough funds going to the department. And that's on a higher level of leadership where something needs to be done, because obviously student tuition has gone up, as well as student enrollment in the kinesiology and health studies faculty, 31% actually of student enrollment in the last 5 years. So I can understand why they felt the need to make these cuts, but they made these cuts with no notice, with really no other reasoning other than that they can't afford it. And as a business leader and as a manager of this type of sport, I think you really need to look and find better excuses. Another reason why there were 3 teams canceled is the fact that faculty, because of its governance structure, and it's set so that they focus more on the academic side of their faculty rather than their athletic department. They really push for academics, so they are likely putting a lot of their budget and financial budgets into the academic side of things rather than their sports team, hence why the 3 teams were cut. Dean Harold Remar, I think I'm saying that right, he said that all the money saved from these cuts will be put back into the faculty. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go back into the athletics department directly, where they can focus more on their athletic elite teams. But I feel like they're also going to split it up into their academic side of their department, because it is strongly run academics first. I think another management issue that should be noted is the way that the university handled ending the teams. There's a system in place through the sport organization, through youth sport, and the athletic department directors here at the University of Regina. Their contracts are very difficult, as in they're not very solidified and they're not very trusting. A contract can end at any minute, and as we've seen with this case, the head coach of the men and women's wrestling team, he had been with the university coaching those teams for over 24 years. And to walk in one season and have the dean tell him, no, there's no more, now he is struggling with financial loss. He had been there and made himself a lifestyle over the last 25 years. Now, within a day, he has to reevaluate his life. I do think that that caused a lot of stress on him. And I know that that is also an issue internationally, even in the professional leagues, they are able to just cut and cancel contracts just like that. And I think that's really difficult for a player and for a coach. And I think something needs to change there. It really just causes a bunch of chaos to each individual that's been involved in this. And it all started, oh goodness. right at the top there. It all started right there with the way U Sport and the athletic directors, the way that they can just cancel contracts like that. The university obviously did not handle the situation very well based on the fact that they simply had no notice to anybody. There was very important coaches that were let go, as well as a sudden end to like sport teams. There are no more wrestling teams. The problem is, and how I could possibly change the issue, is really at a governance level, really at a top management level. A lot can be done if people just do their research and reevaluate their financial plans and their financial reports. I feel like U Sport as a whole and the way that they are government funded and how much they give to each university for these departments, if they maybe not spend $3 billion on a new gym, maybe not spend so much on media, considering social media seems to be doing the trick for that a lot. Maybe it's cutting back on how many athletic shirts and certain logos and stuff. Like maybe they could make cuts there, because I know that that bookstore gets packed with a bunch of like old like Rams sweaters and stuff like that. So I know that they're overproducing on that. Another thing that I would change or would try to change is the whole contract issue thing. I feel like having a proper contract that not only helps the top level of management, but also the people of which they're managing, there needs to be a common ground there. There needs to be something better than walking into school one day and being like, oh yeah, there's no more wrestling teams. Like what? So to wrap things up here, I talked a bit about what happened at the University of Regina, cutting both the men and women's wrestling teams as well as the volleyball teams. And I also talked about how the university could have handled the situation a little bit better by giving maybe more notice, maybe some more efforts, and look deeply into their financial reports and not just focus on the 2017's report, but also focus on the university as a whole. I feel like this was a really split-made decision, and I don't know if they really took the steps into making the right decision. Either way, it's going to affect a lot of the members of the kinesiology department, as well as the friends and families of these athletes and coaches. A lot of people have been impacted. So that is the end of my video. I hope I did good. I hope you liked it. I'm just gonna stop talking now. So thank you for watching and see you later.